Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we've seen a very comprehensive solution that can take care of all your digital onboarding needs. Finally, let's see what difference digital onboarding will make to your bottom line and to the satisfaction of your customers. There are three main benefits for every business. The first is top-line growth. Most businesses today are losing as much as 40% of their top line because they're rejecting good customers for the wrong reasons. When you deploy Instnt, we guarantee to reduce that by at least 50%, meaning that if you're a business that's signing up 10,000 people a month and you're rejecting, say, 20% of that, 2,000 people every month rejected for the wrong reasons, Instnt will reduce that decline rate by half. What that means is we can help your top line grow by at least 50%. That's the biggest bang for the buck, helps businesses grow very rapidly. The other benefit that Instnt offers is bottom line improvement. Improvement in costs associated to managing and owning your own solution. Since you're using a managed service, Instnt can reduce your CapEx and OpEx utilization by at least 30%. And more importantly, fraud losses that would otherwise be on your balance sheet, that's also shifted off to Instnt. So as an example, if you're a business signing up 10,000 people a month and you're rejecting roughly 20% of those people, 2,000 a month, if you assume that the lifetime value of each customer to your business is about $300, without Instnt, you'd be losing $7.2 million every year on the top line. $300 per user times 2,000 people being rejected every month times 12 months equals $7.2 million. Now, you might spend about $1 million in CapEx and OpEx costs for managing technology waterfalls and manual review teams in-house. Instnt can reduce that by at least 30%, so your costs would go down to about $700,000 on the CapEx and OpEx side. You might be keeping $1 million on your balance sheet in reserves for credit losses or losses due to fraud. With Instnt, since you're able to shift the loss liability off your balance sheet, that's another $1 million of working capital we've helped generate instead of you keeping those reserves for loss liability. That means that if you use Instnt, you'd have gained $3.6 million on the top line because Instnt would have helped drive another 1,000 good users out of the 2,000 you're rejecting every month, generating $3.6 million for you. You'd have eliminated at least $200,000 out of the million, or $300,000 out of the million on the bottom line, and you'd have shifted $1 million of loss liability and reserves off your books. If you do the math, that means Instnt saved you roughly $5.1 million. On average, most businesses that use Instnt typically see 6 times or more return on investment. We're very price competitive in the market because we've negotiated better rates for data acquisition, but Instnt also uses a lot of proprietary technology that we do not license from other companies. So the use of the proprietary technology, data that we've licensed at volume, allows us to give very high value in return. Human decision making is very reactive. When human beings write rules, the rules are written for the benefit of legibility, so people can read the rules and understand them. But rules written by human beings tend to go stale. Every time fraud gets through the system, human beings have to go in and rewrite the rules. After a while, there's a rule explosion. You have 1,000 or more rules. If someone were to ask you, if I deleted rule 999, what the impact of that would be across the entire waterfall of rules, very few people would be able to know what that impact would be. So managing rules is cumbersome. Managing rules that are written by human beings is very passive and reactionary. Machines, on the other hand, can be trained with data from a lot of different companies, not just your own. When you're writing rules, you're typically writing rules to cover you for the type of exposure your particular business is used to seeing. Whereas machines can learn from your business and several other businesses like yours in the industry, whom the fraudsters are attacking simultaneously. So machines can learn a lot faster, and as a result, machines can write the equivalent of those rules and keep those rules up to date a lot faster than human beings can. And I'm simplifying it there. Machines aren't actually writing the rules, but the models that the machines are using learn very rapidly and are able to classify never before seen events very accurately based on that collective feedback loop that the machine gets in the learning process. So the fact that machines can learn, machines can absorb a variety of different signals that human beings can't all manage by themselves, ensures that machines will always have better outcomes, unfortunately, compared to human beings writing the same rules. Instant insures our customers for specific types of fraud loss that we are able to eliminate very accurately. If a person manages to sign up, and Instnt says that customer is good and can be let into the system, and that person goes on to commit a variety of different types of fraud, Instnt will indemnify the customer 100% to the agreed upon aggregate loss amount negotiated in the customer contract. There are different types of fraud that Instnt indemnifies. 80% of the fraud out there in the market can fall into two buckets. One's called synthetic ID fraud. It's a victimless type of fraud where people make up non-existent human beings' data and use that to attack your system. Instnt covers you against that type of fraud. The other type of fraud Instnt covers you against is called third-party fraud, where someone might use your or mine stolen data. More than 4 times the US population's data has already been stolen, and it's very easy for fraudsters to buy that stolen data for as little as $2 off the web, to then use that data to open up accounts on our behalf without our knowledge across hundreds of financial institutions through scripted bot attacks. Instnt is able to stop that type of fraud and prevent that type of fraud loss if it does occur as well. There are lots of other types of fraud losses that Instnt covers. There's chargeback fraud for e-commerce. There's account funding fraud for financial institutions. And Instnt constantly improves and adds new type of fraud models. So in the future, we will extend this coverage to emerging types of fraud loss. There are lots of solutions in the market, but most of the solutions in the market are point solution providers, meaning that they're not comprehensive in the technologies that they employ. For example, if you wanted to validate someone's email address, there's 20 different types of solution providers out there that can do that for you. The same with people's addresses and phone numbers, social security numbers, dates of birth, etc. Instnt's the only solution that not only validates a variety of different types of attributes about people, including physical documents such as passports and driver's licenses, but Instnt, over and above that, employs technologies to ensure that devices being used by the consumer signing up are risk-free, that the behaviors of the people in the sign-up flow are consistent with human beings and not bots, that the devices being used and the sign-up is actually in the possession of the consumer signing up, not being used by some fraudsters running botnets, etc. So we employ a bunch of proprietary technology over and above the validation of personal information, which is what the majority of the market does today. Other than that, Instnt is the only vendor in the market today that indemnifies the solution. So Instnt eats its own dog or cat food. No other vendor in the market does that today. So you're ending up owning the cost of knitting together different types of technology and owning the loss liability if you don't use Instnt. Instnt helps your business grow very quickly by signing up more good customers easily, without fraud and friction. Thank you for watching this digital onboarding masterclass. If you have any questions on the subjects we've covered, or you want to start implementing digital onboarding, get in touch. We're here to help. Goodbye.